All right, in this class, we're going to begin the study of Aristotle's ethics, classical ethics, in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. So let's do some introduction, since this is our first class on Aristotle's ethics. Do a little introduction work, and then we'll get through, I think we can get through chapter 1 in this class. All right? Get your notes ready, your name and date at the top of the page. The name of the course is Classical Ethics. Classical Ethics. Classical Ethics. And in this course, we're just going to study one book. There's one book that we're going to study. It is Aristotle. And the name of the book, it's got a big fancy name. Nicomachean Ethics. We're just going to refer to it as ethics, Aristotle's ethics. The reason why it's called Nicomachean Ethics is because Aristotle also wrote another book on ethics. So Nicomachean distinguishes this book from the other book. But all you need to know is classical ethics. In classical ethics, we study Aristotle's ethics. Keep it simple. All right, this book was originally written in Greek. It's translated for us, and the translation that we're using, if you ever want to look up a copy, you might be able to find an audio book online for the book we have. The translation is by Thomas Taylor. Thomas Taylor. He's the translator who translated it into English for us. He translated all of the works of Aristotle and all of the works of Plato from Greek into English. It's a special guy, all right? So we're studying Aristotle's Ethics translated by Thomas Taylor. That book, that's all we're studying in classical ethics. There's no other books, no other sources, just Aristotle's Ethics, all right? Now, in the curriculum, in our studies, one of the main subject areas in our studies is philosophy. And we've said again and again that philosophy is the love of wisdom. Philosophy is the love of wisdom. And in order to pursue wisdom, if a man loves a woman, he pursues her. He wants to marry her and make her his wife so he can be with her forever. That's what it means to love. And wisdom, in ancient times, wisdom is always presented as a woman. And philosophers are chasing this woman to try to possess her forever. That's wisdom. So philosophy is the love of wisdom, and philosophy divides into 3 branches. So there's 3 different kinds of knowledge, 3 different subjects we have to study in order to obtain wisdom. The first branch of philosophy is rational philosophy. And in rational philosophy, we study in our classical reasoning courses. The second branch of philosophy is moral philosophy. And we study moral philosophy in this course, Classical Ethics. This is the course where we learn the science of moral philosophy. And the third branch of philosophy is natural philosophy. Natural philosophy divides into physics, which is the study of material things, and the study of metaphysics, which is the study of the things that are after physics, the things that are beyond physics, supernatural things. Okay? These studies, reasoning, ethics, physics, and metaphysics together are the curriculum we study to pursue wisdom. And all of these books, all of these sciences are taught by one man. Who's that? Aristotle. And what did I tell you was St. Thomas Aquinas' nickname for Aristotle? Do you remember? The philosopher. Right? St. Thomas Aquinas just refers to Aristotle as the philosopher. And that's pretty high praise when you consider that the word philosopher means lover of wisdom. St. Thomas Aquinas said, Aristotle, he is the lover of wisdom. Okay? So we want to study philosophy. That is, if you want to be wise. If you want to be foolish, then you can choose not to study philosophy and just go run into the wall your whole life. But if you want to be wise, you need to study philosophy, and this is how you study philosophy. You need to study reasoning to learn how to order your thoughts. You need to study ethics to learn how to order your will and to actually become a good man who understands what it means to act virtuously. And you're going to need to study natural philosophy because you're going to need to learn how the world works. That's what we study in natural philosophy. So you can choose to study rational, moral, and natural philosophy and seek wisdom, or you can choose to, like I said, drive in circles and smash your head into the wall your whole life. Now, some people get upset when I say this, but I believe this. I believe that philosophy is more important than religion in education. I believe that philosophy is more important than religion. The reason why I say that is you have everything you need in your own nature. You have everything you need to study philosophy. Aristotle was not a Christian. Do you need to be a Christian to be a philosopher? No. Do you need to be a Christian to live wisely? No. You can live wisely without even being a Christian. Cicero lived wisely. Aristotle lived wisely. Plato, Socrates, Pythagoras lived wisely. Seneca lived wisely. Many men lived wisely and virtuously before Christianity ever showed up. So there's no excuse for living like a fool and saying, well, I don't believe in God. That has nothing to do with living wisely. Rejecting Christianity, saying, well, I don't believe you should pray to Mary. I don't believe in the Pope. Look, that's a separate discussion, but that's got nothing to do with living wisely, because living virtuously wasn't invented by Christians. Living virtuously is learned through moral philosophy. You don't have to be a Christian to know how to live virtuously. So Christianity or no Christianity, you have no excuse. You have no excuse. God gave you everything at creation, at your birth, and in your natural body and mind to be wise and live a virtuous life. Christianity is about something even higher than that. Christianity is about gaining eternal life. And if you don't want to live wisely, if you don't want to be virtuous, you're not even going to understand what eternal life is. You understand that? It's like offering something beautiful to a blind person. He's got to learn to see first before he can understand what that is. And in order to understand religion, you have to receive grace. You have to ask God for grace. God has to give you grace. But if you don't even understand how to live a virtuous life, If you don't even understand how the natural world works, what in the world are you going to do trying to talk about the supernatural world? Right? You think that the Holy Spirit was given to people so that they could put out the garbage and pay their bills? No. We don't need miracles to help us grow tomatoes. We have to live a virtuous life because reason tells us to do so. And we can by our own virtue. All right? And then when we start to understand the virtuous life, when we start to understand what it's like to live in this world, when we start to learn how to reason, that's when we're going to start to understand what God offers us in Christianity. That's why many of the ancient philosophers, when Christianity came into the world, when the apostles went out into the world, the philosophers converted to Christianity because they were ready for it and they understood it. All right? So I believe that philosophy is even more important than religion in education because I believe philosophy is within your reach. Even if you're a graceless human being that has no grace, you can still study philosophy. You can still learn virtue. You can learn reasoning. You can learn the order of the natural world. You can begin to live a virtuous life by the study of philosophy. It has nothing to do with religion. And like I said, if you start to learn philosophy, I guarantee you, if you begin to learn philosophy and you learn how to reason and you learn how to live a virtuous life through philosophy, I guarantee you, you'll be interested in religion. Because you're going to understand why religion is necessary. You're going to understand Christianity. You're going to understand the scriptures. You're going to understand why there needs to be a church, why there needs to be a pope. You'll understand all those things when you begin to try to live a wise and virtuous life. So I focus on teaching philosophy. Do we have any religion classes together? Am I making any religion videos? No. I'm focusing on the classical liberal arts and I'm focusing on philosophy because I believe that arguing about religion is a waste of time when people don't even know how to reason, when they don't even understand virtue, and they don't even understand how the world works. Talking about God and angels and saints and heaven and hell, that's a waste of time when we don't even know how the garden works. Right? There's no point talking about eternal life when people are killing themselves in this life. They don't even want to have a short life on earth. Imagine telling a guy who's suicidal that he can live forever. That's like his worst nightmare. Right? He doesn't even want to live for 10 more years because his life is so miserable. And this is why his life is miserable. Modern education doesn't teach philosophy. It teaches kids that the only things that exist are material things. All you need to study are math and science. All you need to worry about is getting a job and having money and maybe having a healthy body, which isn't even in your control. And it's a miserable, depressing life. And you're going to see kids your age more and more talking about depression, complaining about their life, thinking about suicide, because the life that they're being taught is a miserable life. And philosophy teaches us how we can be happy even in this life. And then religion comes when philosophy leads us into problems that we can't answer. Religion provides the answers to those questions. So we're going to spend a lot of time studying philosophy because I believe that this is where many of the problems in our society are. And this is why kids are so unhappy today, because the education they receive doesn't teach them philosophy. It leaves them miserable. So moral philosophy, the study of virtue, which is right behavior, and vice, which is wrong behavior. We're going to study them in Aristotle's Ethics, And the goal of the study of ethics, which I want you to write down, we'll see this as we read Aristotle. The goal is to become good men. That's the goal. To become good men. That's the goal of the study of ethics. Not to learn about being good, not to talk about what's good, not to pass a test about what's good. The goal of the study of ethics is to actually become good men and enjoy all the benefits. To enjoy all the benefits of being good men. All the benefits of being good. So that you can enjoy those benefits and not have to suffer all the evils of being bad. All right? So that's an introduction to moral philosophy. And we're going to begin. It's 9:05. Okay, if I erase this, right? Do you all get this? I'll leave it. All right, so we're going to get started. We're just going to jump right into the first chapter of the first book of Aristotle's Ethics. And let me just say something about this reading. Students often have a very hard time. I guarantee you this. I guarantee that once we get past the first few chapters, this will be one of your favorite books. This will be one of the most helpful books you ever study in your life. If you like Aesop's Fables, how Aesop's Fables teaches you some moral lessons, this is like Aesop's Fables times 1,000,000. It's going to teach you everything you need to know about good behavior and bad behavior. It's going to explain 1,000,000 different problems that will confuse you in your life. And you'll love Aristotle's Ethics. But the problem with Aristotle's Ethics is that the first few chapters are kind of boring and they're difficult to get through. Once we get through them, the study becomes pretty interesting and fun. Okay? For example, once we get through these, the chapters are like, what is courage? You know? What does it mean to be generous? That's what the chapters are like. We study a virtue, we learn vices, or vices are like sinful behaviors, bad habits that are errors in relation to that virtue. And we just go one virtue at a time. And it's very, very helpful, very clear, very useful. But the first few chapters are difficult. So if you just bear with me and work hard through the first few chapters, you're going to see that this is a really great course, Classical Ethics. So let's read together chapter 1 of book 1. We're making pretty good time, so let's get through this. Book 1, chapter 1. Aristotle starts his teaching on ethics and says, every art, make sure you follow me because I'm going to explain this for you. Every art, every method, every action, and every deliberate choice. So he names 4 things, and I want to make sure you understand what these 4 things are. He says every art, every method, every art, every method, every action, and every deliberate choice. Every deliberate choice. Every art, every method, every action, every deliberate choice. All of these, he says, appear to aspire after a certain good. All of these things appear to aspire. They seem to seek a certain good. In other words, we don't just do things for the sake of doing them. Everything that you do, even when you get in trouble, everything that you do is done for a certain good. Every art. What is an art? An art is a skill. So if you go to school to study mechanics and learn how to work on cars, you're going to seek the art of auto repair or whatever. You're going to seek the art because you're seeking some good. There's something that you desire. that you consider to be good. It could be money. It could be because you want to get married and have a family. It could be because you just want to work on cars because you think having cars would make you happy. But there's a reason why you seek that art. You seek it for some good that you desire. Right? Usually if someone asks you, why do you want to do that? People will say, I don't know, because they're embarrassed of the reason. But it's still, there's something that they want that they're willing to study and work for. An art is a skill that we learn and study and practice. Okay? Any kind of skill that we study and practice is an art. Method is like a science, a system of knowledge and learning. We seek science for some good. We don't do it because we've got nothing else to do. I might say, why are you studying algebra? And you might say, because I want a high school diploma. That's the good you're seeking. Right? And then I could ask you, why are you seeking a high school diploma? And you could say, because I want to join the military, or because I want to go to college. Okay, so you're studying algebra for a diploma, and you're seeking the diploma for college admission. Why are you seeking college admission? Because I want to become a doctor. Why do you want to become a doctor? And you see how it goes on? Everything we do is seeking something else. And there's this whole chain of good things and when I say good, all I mean is things we desire. The things that you call good, I might not call good, but you think that they're good, and you seek them. That's why you do what you do. If I say, I want you to cut the grass tomorrow, you get upset because you don't see how that leads you to any good. You understand that? The things that we do them because we're seeking something good, something that we consider good. If you pursue an art, it's for the sake of something good. If you pursue some science, it's for the sake of something that you consider good. Every action that you voluntarily perform, you do so because you're seeking something that you consider to be good. And every deliberate choice that you make, every time you make a choice that you think about first, not like an accident, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that we do where we don't really mean it. Like, for example, if somebody's bothering you, you'll do something bad. You didn't do that by deliberate choice. You did it because you were tempted or because you were provoked to do something bad, right? We're not saying you do that for some good. But if you have time to think and choose what to do, you have time to think about it, your choice will be for something that you desire. You'll try to move forward in the pursuit of something you desire. And what you have to think about, what Aristotle says is, every art, every method, every action, and every deliberate choice being carried out by every man alive is for some certain good, something that they desire. Okay? We don't just do things for no purpose. We're seeking something that we consider to be good. Hence, therefore, it is well said that the good, if there was something that we can call the good is that which all things desire. We all desire something, and we can just call it the good. Even though we might disagree on what it is, it's something that we all consider to be the good. Do you understand that? Give me a nod if you understand. The good is that which all desire. Of ends are things we pursue. Ends are things that we pursue. Make sure you take this down in your notes. An end, some of these words, you might have seen these words before and you think you know what they mean, but that's not how Aristotle is using them. That's not what he means. When he says ends, he means the goal or the purpose of your action. What you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to get. That's your end. That's the end for which you do something. Of ends, there appears to be a certain difference. There's two kinds of ends. There's two kinds of ends. There's two kinds of things that we seek. He says, some of them are energies. And you might think, what in the world are energies? And he says, some are certain works. So there are two kinds of ends. Two different kinds of things that you're seeking. And this is true of every person, whether you're the biggest fool on earth or the wisest man. Everyone is seeking ends in their actions, in their choices, in the arts that they pursue and develop, in the sciences or the methods that they seek and study. They're seeking ends. The ends that you seek are either energies or works. A better word for works would be products. I think products is a better... In our generation, like how we speak, I think products makes a little more sense. Everything we do seeks a certain end. Some of those ends are energies. And we don't use this word energy, but we'll see from the text that energies seems to mean activities. Some of the ends we seek are activities, things that we want to do for their own sake. Doing those things is the end. Okay? For example, a saint might say that worshiping God in heaven is the end of everything that he seeks. He wants to worship God. And if you said, why do you want to worship God? He would say, or if you asked him, what do you seek by worshiping God? He would say, no, I don't seek anything else. That's the end. That's all that I want. Okay? That's what a saint, if you look at the life of a saint, that's how a saint lives. He wants to be in heaven. He wants to worship God. That's the end of all his desires. He wants to worship God for the sake of worshiping God, and he wants to do that forever. There's nothing else that he seeks. Okay? Some of the ends we seek are energies or activities. Some of the ends that we seek are products. Some of the ends that we seek are products. So if you look at, professional athletes, you say, what are they seeking? They exercise, they train, they practice, they sacrifice so much of their free time, and they play these sports. What are they trying to get? What is the end of all of this activity? What are they trying to get? And if you ask them, some might say, I want to win a championship. That's the end that I seek. I want to be the champion. I want to win the gold medal at the Olympics. Or I want to make $20 million. I want money. Okay, so they're doing things for different ends. Some ends are activities or energies. Some ends are works or products, things that we seek. You understand that? You with me? So ends are the things that we do things to achieve or obtain certain ends. Some of those ends are called energies in our text. Some are works. And by works, it doesn't mean things that we do. A work is like the product. Like if I took a pile of books and I said, look, I have the works of William Shakespeare. The books are the works. You understand that? The products of his writing. All right. Some of them are energies. Others of them are certain works. But in those things in which there are certain ends besides the actions, so that is where there's products that are sought, in those things where we seek something besides the actions themselves, the energies, in these, the works or the products are better than the energies. And what that means is, if I'm playing basketball for a championship, what's better, the action of playing basketball or the championship? The championship is better because that's why I do the activity. So anytime that the goal is something else, that thing is judged to be better than the activity itself. Stick with me. I told you, these first few chapters are difficult, but if you get through these first few chapters and understand them, the rest of this study is easy. You have to earn the opportunity to enjoy the easy study by doing the work of these first few chapters. Okay? So there are some things we do for the activity itself. Some people might play basketball just because they love playing basketball and they don't seek anything else. Some people might play basketball because they want to win a championship or because they want to make money. If you play basketball to make money, then you believe that money is actually better than playing basketball. If you play basketball to win a trophy, you believe that winning that trophy is better than playing basketball because you play basketball to get the trophy. Got it? So anytime we do something for the sake of something else, anytime we do something for the sake of something else, that other thing is better than the thing we do. Is that clear? Is that clear? Okay, I'll say it one more time. Anytime we do something for the sake of something else, that other thing we think to be better than what we're doing. We're doing this to get that. We think that is better than this. Okay? And the reason why that's important is because what Aristotle's saying is that every one of us knows that some ends are better than other ends. So if Isaiah desires this thing, let's say that Isaiah says, I want to study because I want to become rich. And I say, why do you want to become rich? And nobody says, I want to become rich just because I want money. That's all I want. I don't want anything else. I just want lots of money. Nobody says that. Everyone wants money for something else. And we have to keep going and keep asking the question, why do you want that? Why do you want that? Why do you want that? And see if there's ever a time where we finally get to the end. You understand that? We finally get to the end. The ultimate end of what they want. Okay? But the thing that you want next, the thing that you want is better than the thing that you're doing to get what you want, in your judgment. Okay? Since there are many actions, there are many different arts, there are many different sciences, there will also be many different ends. There are many different ends that we seek because there are many different arts, many different sciences, many different actions, many different choices we make, and all of these have ends, so there are many different ends. And do you think all the ends are equal? You think all the ends are equal? No, they're not all equal. Some ends are better than other ends, right? So we're going to have to ask the question, what's the best end? What's the best end? We're getting there. The end of medicine, if a man practices medicine, if a man becomes a doctor and practices medicine, what's the goal of medicine? What's the end? Health, right? If you're sick and you go to the doctor, why do you go to the doctor? Because you like visiting the doctor? Because you have some extra money and you'd like to give it to the doctor? No, because you would like to gain health. So going to the doctor or doing what the doctor says, he says, stop eating this. He says, make sure you get a full night's sleep. He says, make sure you eat like this. Then you do that. And the reason why you do it, why you practice medicine and listen to the doctor is because you're hoping to obtain the end of health. Right? So what's better, medicine or health? If we had health, would we want medicine? No. That's why Jesus said, it is the sick who have need of the physician. The healthy have no need of a physician, right? The end of medicine is health. We seek medicine for the sake of health. If a man studies to learn how to build ships, right? He goes and he's an apprentice and he studies for years and years and he learns how to build ships. What is the goal of his study of the art of shipbuilding? What's his goal?
To build ship.
To build a ship. He wants a ship. That's his goal. Okay? Good. Military art. If you join the military and you go to basic training, you go to AIT, you go through all these training exercises, what is the end of the military? What's the military for? What is the goal of the military? To train, to learn how to shoot guns, to exercise. What's the goal of the military? What? Victory. That's the goal of the military. The military doesn't train to go fight a war. The military trains to win a war. Got that? The goal of military training is victory. That's the end of military art. Economic art or business. What's the goal of business? What's the goal of business?
To sell things.
No, that's not the goal. Why do you want to sell things? What? Profit. Make money. Right? To become wealthy. To gain wealth. By honest work. By business. That's the goal. Men don't go to work because they just think it's cool. The goal is to make a living. Right? If men win the lottery, do they keep going to work? Usually not, because they work for the end of wealth. If they have wealth, they're going to stop working. Okay? Some men don't, but they usually do that just because they want to pick on their boss because they know they don't need money anymore. So anyway, you see that there are activities and that there are ends desired. And that's why we do those activities. That's why we pursue those arts and participate in those different activities. Okay. All right? Such arts as are of this kind are arranged under one certain power. In other words, the arts and the ends, pay attention to me. I want to make sure you understand this. There's a system of arts. This art is better than this art. This art is for this art, but this art is for this art. And this art is to get this, and we get this to get this. And so as we go, there's a whole ladder of ends. We pursue this for this, and this for this, and this for this, and it keeps going up. And the question that we should ask is, what's at the top? What's the last end? Do you know what the last end is? The highest end? Well, if you don't know the highest end, how can you make any good decisions in your life if you don't know what you should be living for? Right? Huh? You see the problem? There's one end higher than that end, and this is for that, and this is for that. And if you don't know what the highest end is, how do you know that all the ends and all the actions you're doing are all wrong? You have to learn what that highest end is so you can aim your life at that highest end. Right? Okay. Such arts are of this kind are arranged under one certain power. Bridle making, what is bridle making? Making equipment for horses, right? Like making bridles for horses, saddles for horses, stuff like that. Bridle making, men don't make bridles just for the sake of making bridles. They make bridles for people who ride horses because the people who ride horses need bridles, right? And the people who ride horses, they don't ride horses just to ride horses. They ride horses because they need horses to serve in the military. And they don't serve in the military just for the sake of serving in the military. They serve in the military to win a battle. So the bridle making art, is it greater or inferior to the military art? The bridle maker, is his work greater or inferior to the work of the soldier? It's inferior. It serves the soldier. The soldier serves the higher end. The bridle maker is simply making things for the soldier. Okay? So there's a hierarchy of ends. The bridle maker is under the equestrian art and such other arts as pertain to equestrian instruments, that means horse riding instruments. This art and every warlike action are all arranged under the military art. And after the same manner, other arts are arranged under other powers. There's this whole system of arts under other arts, under other arts, under other arts, working all the way up to higher and higher ends. In all these, the ends of those arts which are architectonic. Write this word down. Architectonic. Architectonic means master art. Architectonic means a master art. All right? The ends of those arts which are architectonic or master arts, the ends of the master arts, Aristotle says, are more eligible. That means they're more desirable. The ends of the master arts, the architectonic arts, the master arts, the ends of the master arts are more desirable, more noble, more eligible is the word in our book, than all the ends of the arts, which are subordinate to them, which are under them. The end of the higher art is greater and more noble, more desirable than all of the ends of the arts under them. You got that? The latter, the inferior arts, are only pursued for the sake of the master arts. The inferior arts are only pursued for the sake of the master arts. It makes no difference whether the energies themselves are the ends or something else besides these, some product, in the same manner as in the above-mentioned sciences. So that's the end of chapter 1. Just to wrap up here, we're at 9:30, so we're doing good with time. Got 10 minutes or so left. Let's wrap this all up. In this first chapter, what Aristotle wants us to understand is that everything that we do intentionally, every art we study and practice, every science we learn and use, every action that we do voluntarily, every deliberate choice we make, there's something that we do it for. There's some end that we seek. We don't do it for no reason. We do it for some reason. And that reason why we do things is called an end. And what Aristotle wants us to see is that some ends are higher than other ends. Some ends are greater than other ends. There's a whole ladder, a whole system of ends. And those ends which are higher are more desirable than those which are lower. Those ends which are higher are greater than those which are lower, more desirable, more noble than those which are lower. Okay? So not only are there lots of ends, not only are there lots of ends of the things that we do, but some are better than others. Okay? That's the simple lesson that Aristotle wants us to think about as we get started in ethics. Do you agree? Do you understand and agree that some ends are better than others? We understand that, right? In chapter 1 of the Ethics, that idea is the first idea Aristotle wants us to have in mind. There are lots of different ends for the things we do. Some ends are better than others. Some ends are better than others. What do you think is Aristotle's goal in teaching us that? What do you think he's going to say next? If you agree with him and you nod your head and say yes when he asks you, are some ends better than others? And you say, oh yes, I agree, I believe that. What do you think he's going to say next? After you agree that some ends are better than others, what do you think he's going to say? You don't know? He's going to say, are you seeking the best ends? Or are you seeking the inferior ends? Right? And that's what we're going to think about in ethics. Are we seeking the best ends? Or am I distracted by inferior ends? Am I seeking things that are inferior to other things that I should be seeking? Things that are more noble, things that are better. Okay? So we'll cut off there. Take a minute in your notes. Take a minute. If you say I already did it, well, imagine if you could do it better if you gave it a little more effort. Take a minute and at the end of your notes for this class, write a brief summary of what we studied. Okay? Write a brief summary of what we studied. And that's going to be the end of our first class in Aristotle's Ethics.